Some stats there on the money race. And if you're wondering about that $10 in Oklahoma, it was for a web ad from the Sierra Club against the incumbent Senator James Inhofe. Now we're going to take a closer look at how Tuesday's midterms are shaping the next big election, race for the White House in 2016. Wide open right now. So many potential candidates sharpening skills and pocketing favors by campaigning in key states. ABC's Jeff Zeleny takes a look at how they're doing.
The campaign trail is crowded.
I'm back!
But those logging the most miles aren't even on the ballot, at least not this year's ballot.
Too many people only get excited about presidential campaigns. Look, I get excited about presidential campaigns, too.
Just this week in Kansas, Senator Rand Paul moved beyond the state's wildcard Senate race and plunged straight ahead to Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton says, she says, businesses don't reach out. Anybody believe that?
Jeb Bush echoed the criticism of Clinton as he campaigned in Colorado,
where she said that don't let them tell you that businesses create jobs.
The potential 2016 candidates are traveling across the country to red-hot races for Senate and governor. Hillary Clinton hit 18 states. Elizabeth Warren went to 9. Rand Paul and Jeb Bush each visited 8. Ted Cruz, just 4. And Chris Christie, as chairman of the Republican Governors Association, visited 17. But look at how often some of the top Republicans pass through the golden battlegrounds of Iowa and New Hampshire. Cruz 11 times, Paul 10, and Christie 9. They're introducing themselves to party activists and building chits for the future. When we visited New Hampshire with Cruz, he brought Republicans to their feet and made an early case for new leadership.
Does this increase your interest in running?
I do think the American people in November 2014 and also in November 2016 are going to be looking for leaders who want to work to restore America's leadership in the world.
So that sounds like a yes.
It increases my interest in doing everything I can to change the direction we're on.
While Cruz is among those inching closer to running, other big names like Elizabeth Warren are not. But she's still one of the biggest Democratic draws of the season, appearing earlier this week on The View.
Look, this really isn't about me. One of the reasons I really wanted to be here today is to talk about the importance of women voting.
Not all exchanges have been so polite, like Chris Christie's encounter with a protester in New Jersey.
Listen, you want to have the conversation later? I'm happy to have it, buddy. But until that time, sit down and shut up.
That moment and all others from this campaign will follow the candidates into their next race, which could be just around the corner. For this week, Jeff Zeleny, ABC News, Washington.
And we're back now with our roundtable. I have a little mini debate over whether sit down and shut up is the right way to go. But Matthew, let me begin with you. You look at all those candidates out there. Who had the best preseason?
I think the one that's going to probably we'll be talking about most in the aftermath of this election is probably John Kasich, who we're not really talking about.
I agree with that completely.
John Kasich's going to win that race in a key state for Republicans, Ohio, by more than 20 points at a time when other Democrats are doing well in governor's races. I think the person that should be most concerned about the results on election night is Hillary Clinton, because what people are voting for is against the status quo. They're voting for change. They want something different. And Hillary Clinton's experience and the time she spent over the last 20 years represents, in most people's mind, the status quo.
Well, it's such a challenge for her, isn't it, Don?
You know, Matt, she has enabled Democrats to keep it close. She's campaigned in 30 states for over 40 Democrats. She's made a difference not only in fundraising.
Most of which will lose.
Not true. I think Michelle Nunn will pull it out. I think Jeanne Shaheen will pull it out. Kay Hagan because of Hillary Clinton. And the fact that Allison Grimes has been able to come back from the so-called political dead, Hillary Clinton.
Although that poll this morning shows her really struggling.
The other thing, though, about Hillary Clinton that you have to keep in mind is that just the mere fact of being a woman is a change in the status quo. And that is something that is just there.
Do you think she has to worry about this? Do you think she has to worry about the fact she represents the status quo?
Sure she does. But I still think that the overriding question of electing the first woman president just changes.
How does that question play, though, Bill Kristol, for Jeb Bush? Is he seen as the establishment? Is he seen as part of the past?
I don't think he can get the nomination at all.
Yeah, he could, if he steps out and has a great agenda for the future, he could overcome that, as I suppose Hillary Clinton can. But yes, he last was in public office almost 10 years ago. Hasn't been on the ballot since 2002. Think about this. Who are the stars of this election are going to be Joni Ernst in Iowa, 43 years old. Tom Cotton in Arkansas, 37. Cory Gardner's run an excellent campaign in Colorado, 39. On the Democratic side, who's the outperforming Michelle Nunn in Georgia? What's she, mid-30s or something 40s. Like that? I've got to think that the story coming out of tonight is going to be out of Tuesday night is going to be young is good, change is good, and I think that's bad for Hillary Clinton and bad for Jeb Bush.
Let me bring that to John Carlos. So is that a good message then for Ted Cruz, Rand Paul?
Well, it's interesting. You know, there's been a lot of talk about how Obama has not been campaigning in any of the key Senate races. Ted Cruz hasn't been out there either. He has not been in demand.
He's in Alaska this weekend.
Yes, yeah. He's not even in the lower 48 states. He spent the last few days in Alaska. He did make one appearance in Georgia. That is it. That in the last 2 weeks, those are the only 2 Senate races he has played in.
And is that because the candidates haven't wanted him, or he hasn't wanted to go?
No, he has not been in demand.
But George, to me, what's like most likely happens is both sides will misread the results of this election completely. Both sides will. Republicans will think, wow, we won this election. We don't need to do anything to change their brand, which will send them for a loss in 2016 if they don't change their brand and approach this differently. Democrats will say, well, it doesn't really have to do anything. It's the midterms election. Right. It was low turnout election. And they'll say we don't need to do anything differently. Right. And that's a mistake in this course of this. Somebody's going to have to step up and be the populist candidate, the candidate of change. And like Bill says, somebody young and probably a governor. That's why I don't think
that's why Michelle Nunn's campaign has been so interesting, because she has been that populist voice. And she has run essentially an anti-Romney campaign against David Perdue.
I wonder if
and that seems to be at least, bringing her to a place.
Making it possible for her. But I wonder if that means, based on what you all are saying, and let me bring this to you first, Bill Kristol, that the big candidate in 2016 isn't even really on the map yet. Is that possible?
I've thought about that. I think it's possible. I mean, I think Walker, Cruz, Rubio, that generation of Republicans come out of Tuesday night strong. But I don't look in our day and age. Why is it impossible for someone who just wins this year, conceivably, or someone who's in private life right now to come out and to run in 2016? I don't think that's impossible.
Who should Hillary Clinton be worried about on the Democratic side? Anyway?
Elizabeth Warren. I still believe that her message resonates with the broad American public. I mean, she's fighting for students. She's fighting for the middle class. I still think Elizabeth Warren is somebody to watch.
You see those ready for Warren people out there as well. They're not anywhere near as big as ready for Hillary, but they're out there. And when I interviewed Elizabeth Warren in 2012 and asked her would she consider running for president in 2016, she said no. Now she's saying I'm not running.
I don't think she's going to run. We'll see.
But it's a lot less definitive now.